The Senate has approved the National Identification and Registration Act. The move will see the establishment of a voluntary and secure National Identification System, NIDS, for Jamaica. Under the NIDS, Jamaicans will be able to utilize a new single ID, which will be protected by strong security and private networks. Piloting the bill, Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Senator Kamina Johnson Smith said the legislation has been a long time coming.
Senator Kamina Johnson Smith says the legislative framework for NIDS has been strengthened and improved and will now recognize and protect the right to privacy of an enrolled individual.
And this is because it's going to attach the biometric ID. So not only would you have a card, but the card will be protected by the fact that you're uniquely identified by your fingerprint, by your face, your digital image, which will also reduce the risk of identity theft. And this is something that's being experienced all over the world, countries with social security cards, but they're not protected by biometrics. It has now become a massive industry, how people offer services to protect that ID, because the social security ID is not protected in itself. It doesn't have any biometric with it. And so there's a whole industry that costs people a whole lot of money to be able to protect their identity. And if they can't afford it, then they're simply vulnerable to identity theft.
Senator Johnson Smith says once NIDS comes into effect, Jamaicans will no longer have to register multiple times with government agencies to do business.
This bill will allow for the national ID alone to be sufficient proof of identity, removing the need to provide multiple forms of ID. Indeed, it is actually expressly stated in the Act that where your NID is provided, where your NIC is provided, your National Identification Card, where a valid card is provided and verified, you cannot be asked to provide another piece of identification. So once you deal with your application and authentication up front and you get your card, that is now all that is required, all that will be required by law in Jamaica.
She says NIDS will provide a comprehensive and secure structure to enable the collection and storage of identity information and improve the structure of the National Identification and Registration Authority.
It will strengthen the organizational and governance structure of the authority, and it will ensure that penalties reflect the gravity of the offenses created under the legislation. It will ensure that there is strong independent oversight of the authority, and it will ensure that a comprehensive enabling structure exists to facilitate the implementation of the NIDS. Most importantly, or as importantly, this legislation expressly requires the encryption of personal information and compliance with international best practices for information security.
The existing tax registration number, TRN, will be used as the unique 9-digit identification number on the new card.